And I also am thinking that we know that that 5-to-1 ratio, to your point though, not it being fake, but building them up and looking for things they're doing well.
Yeah.
And then when we have something, then we're able to actually dive into it. I'm also thinking of a recent client that we helped give feedback, and she basically thought that like, I don't want to give feedback because, maybe their confidence is low, but also I don't want them to quit. That's the other one that I've heard. It's like, they're going to quit if I give them feedback. And I think that's a limiting belief as leaders that we have. And then of course the behavior comes out that like, we never say anything, but other people see it around us, and it creates a certain culture that's not that great, where we have no expectations. Actually, that's one of our favorite things I think that we've been talking about recently. Can we talk about like empathy and expectations?
Bring it in. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah.
I think that's so relative too. I have a client that we were coaching recently, and we were talking about how she never gives feedback because she thinks that people will quit. So I was talking about, if we have an expectation, that actually shows that we care and caring about the person as well. So now we're setting like a standard, and she started doing it, and she's seen such a change in the productivity of her team. People are not quitting. I mean, it was not good, Netta. They were like quitting left and right, and she couldn't figure out why. And so she just thought like, I just will like say nothing. But then the team member doesn't know what's expected.
Exactly. And that does the opposite, right? Because you don't know what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right. You have no sense of like direction. So that, I think that was a really great question. One thing that I just want to kind of bring in as we wrap it up is, I know this question was about a particular team member because the question said like this team member, but for those that are listening, just always keep in mind that all your team members are different. So don't be the leader that gets stuck in like the cookie cutter methods, because all of your team members want something or need something different. So I know for me, and I think Lauren, you might be a little bit different, I don't need positive feedback. I love negative feedback because it just drives me. I'm like, what do I need to work on, people? Like, stop giving me like fluff and positive. Like, I want to know, like, and I recognize that like a lot of people aren't like that. You know what I mean? They need to hear the words of affirmation. So just be conscious about like who's sitting in front of you and what do they need and what's their style of like receiving communication from you.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. I'm not like Netta. I do like some balance in the feedback, but to your point, everybody's different. And so that's the other thing I would say is, make sure when we give the feedback, like it's either video or in person, so you can read nonverbal cues, and you'll know how the team member's taking it, and you can catch it. You like, let's say they're about to cry, or they're because the leader's worried the team member is can't handle anything. Pay attention to what's going on with them, and that way you'll be able to trust your intuition and know how much feedback to give, when to give it. Like, that'll really make a difference too, so that you don't have to think, I can't ever give feedback to them.
Yeah, something just came up for me when you were saying that. I think it's also important for leaders to exercise vulnerability. I don't have kids yet. Hopefully I do one day. But there are moments where I'm with a team member where I have to speak to them as if they're like a child that's sitting in front of me, which requires you to be vulnerable and requires you to be able to say something along the line of, I really value you here at work. I understand that you're really hard on yourself, and there's probably times where you feel like you're just not enough. We've had these conversations. I know that you struggle with putting your best foot forward because your fear of failure. Like, it's okay for you to have that vulnerable conversation, but many of us don't know how to, right? Because we're not used to being vulnerable and like being like coming down and like just sitting across the person and having an authentic conversation.